In a distant land, where honor was earned through bloodshed, and warriors fought not only for survival but for reputation, there lived a young woman named Aella. Aella was the pride of her village, both for her beauty and her kindness. Her long, dark hair shimmered like silk, and her smile could warm the coldest of hearts. She was beloved by all who knew her, and many of the young men in her village sought to marry her. However, despite the admiration and attention she received, Aella had not yet chosen a husband. She felt she had not found someone who truly captured her heart, and she preferred to wait for the right one. Her friends often teased her, saying she was too picky, but Aella's heart was set on something deeper than simple admiration. Stories had reached her ears of a legendary warrior named Kiros, a man known not just for his strength, but for his honor. Kiros hailed from the village of Taran, a place known for producing fierce warriors. His reputation had spread far and wide, and even those in Aella's village spoke of him with reverence. He had fought many battles, defeated countless enemies, and taken trophies to prove his bravery. Though Aella had never met Kiros, the tales of his courage intrigued her. She began to wonder if he might be the one she was waiting for, the one worthy of her love. Unbeknownst to her, Kiros had heard of her as well. His family, eager to see him settled, had suggested it was time for him to marry. When Aella's name was mentioned, Kiros agreed, trusting the descriptions of her beauty and grace. In those days, marriages were often arranged through families, and the couple might never meet before their wedding day. Kiros was consumed by his duties as a warrior. In his world, men were measured by their success in battle, and Kiros was no exception. His reputation as a fearless fighter was well earned. He had faced countless enemies, always emerging victorious, and had claimed many trophies from those he had defeated. In his village, taking the head of an enemy was seen as a sign of strength and bravery, a way to prove one's worth. This gruesome tradition was part of Kiros's life, and it shaped the way he viewed the world. While Kiros prepared for war, Aella prepared for their upcoming wedding. She was filled with excitement, eagerly looking forward to the day when she would become his wife. Her friends often visited her, and they celebrated together, talking about the future and the life Aella would have as Kiros's bride. She imagined living in his village, becoming part of his family, and building a life with him. Though she had never seen him, she trusted the stories of his honor and bravery. However, as the wedding day drew nearer, Aella began to experience unsettling dreams. In these dreams, she found herself in Kiros's home, surrounded by food and celebration. There were plates of rice, meat, and other delicacies set before her, but something about the scene felt wrong. Each time she had the dream, a sense of unease washed over her, as though something dark was looming just beyond her sight. The dream repeated itself night after night, and though Aella tried to ignore it, the feeling of dread grew stronger. She shared her dreams with her friends, hoping they could help her make sense of them. But her friends merely laughed, reassuring her that the dreams were just a reflection of her anticipation for the wedding. "You're just excited," they said. "It's normal to have strange dreams before such an important event." Aella wanted to believe them, but the dreams continued to haunt her, filling her with an inexplicable fear. Meanwhile, Kiros was facing his own inner turmoil. Although the wedding was approaching, he felt a deep desire to prove himself one last time before becoming a husband. In his mind, a warrior's worth was defined by his achievements in battle, and he wanted to bring home a trophy that would solidify his status as a man of honor. He believed that by doing so, he could show Aella and her family that he was not only a worthy suitor, but also a man of great strength and courage. Driven by this desire, Kiros set out on a quest to find an enemy and claim a trophy. He ventured far from his village, determined to return with proof of his bravery. For days he wandered through unfamiliar lands, searching for an opportunity to fight. But, to his frustration, he encountered no foes. The land seemed peaceful, and there were no battles to be fought. Desperate to prove himself, Kiros pressed on, traveling farther than he had ever gone before. As fate would have it, his path eventually led him to a quiet village nestled between the hills. This village, unknown to Kiros, was the home of Aella. Most of the villagers were away, tending to the fields, leaving the village eerily silent. Kiros walked through the empty streets, his senses alert for any sign of danger. He was about to turn back when he spotted a woman sitting on the porch of a small house, weaving a beautiful cloth. The woman had long, dark hair that shimmered in the sunlight, and her graceful figure caught Kiros's eye. For a moment, he hesitated. She was beautiful, unlike any woman he'd ever seen, but the warrior within him quickly took over. In his mind, the woman was a prize, and her hair, long and dark, would make a perfect trophy to prove his worth. He approached her silently, his spear in hand. The woman did not see him coming. She was focused on her weaving, unaware of the danger that crept toward her. In one swift movement, Kiros struck her down, his spear piercing her heart. She had no time to scream or fight back. In a matter of moments, her life was taken, and Kiros claimed her head as his trophy. Satisfied with his victory, he turned back toward his village, carrying the prize that would show the world his strength. Back in Aella's village, her family and friends were busy preparing for the wedding. They had gathered flowers, food, and decorations, eager to celebrate the union of Aella and Kiros. But as the day drew closer, something terrible happened. Aella's body was found lifeless, her head missing. The villagers were horrified. How could this have happened so close to the wedding? Who would commit such a terrible act? News of Aella's death spread quickly, and messengers were sent to Kiros's village to inform him and his family of the tragedy. As the details of her death reached Kiros, a terrible realization began to dawn on him. The description of the woman he had killed matched Aella's appearance all too well. He had unknowingly killed his own bride. Kiros was devastated. The very woman he had sought to marry, the woman whose beauty and grace had captured his imagination, was the same woman he had slain in his quest for glory. The trophy he had so proudly taken was not a symbol of his strength, but a symbol of his greatest failure. He had destroyed the one thing he had hoped to cherish. The grief that followed was unbearable. Both villages mourned the loss of Aella, and Kiros was left to grapple with the weight of his actions. The families were shattered, their hopes for a union between the two noble houses dashed in the most tragic way possible. Kiros, once a celebrated warrior, was now a man broken by his own ambition. This story, passed down through generations, serves as a somber reminder of the dangers of pride and the devastating consequences of blind ambition. In a world where honor was earned through violence, Kiros's pursuit of glory led to the destruction of the one thing he truly desired. The tragic tale of Aella and Kiros remains a warning against the senseless pursuit of power and the brutal customs of a time long past.